Hey everybody, hope you are having a great week. Today I wanted to follow up on what was the $6 million man, Ronald Reed, who left this money to his local library in Vermont and to the hospital, and how he accumulated this over his lifetime. He passed away at 92 years old, and I've gotten so much feedback from this. I just wanted to follow up, and I got a great question from a client the other day who specifically asked, what should I invest in so I can turn my $50 a month or $100 a month into $6 million? And the answer to that question really is just put your money to work in the global markets. Today it's easier than ever and more cost effective. But I want to illustrate what the pain associated with that was. Now I don't know Ronald Reed's, when he put money in, when he took it out, exact situation. All the articles that talked about what happened in the Wall Street Journal and on CNBC just said that he had tons of stock certificates that he bought consistently over the years. And of course the Wall Street Journal and CNBC, their story was about how, he was this stock picking genius. Well, the reality is he died when he was 92. He ended up with $6 million. I mean, the return, had he been investing his whole life, wasn't necessarily that astounding or even really better than the market itself had given you. But it was the discipline and the ability to take the pain to ultimately receive the reward that this guy had that separated him from everybody else out there. And if you can take that to heart, take that lesson to heart and realize there's no secret sauce. It's just the markets as a whole will give you the reward if you can take the pain. And so this is what you had to go through in the past. I expect it to happen again going forward in the future. I just can't say when. It's just a matter of if this does, this type risk does occur. So you start out with $1,000, and there's a chart in the report that illustrates year by year what you would have had at the end of each year, going from 1945 to 2014. But what it's illustrating, you had $1,000 in 1945. Which is really about $12,000 a day, which is easily accumulated for a young person who first job out of college. They save a few $100 a month. They'll get to that pretty quickly. And then you started adding $50 a month back in 1945, and you added this $50 a month every month for up until you passed away in 2014 at the age of 92. This is what would have happened. So it would have taken you 20 years. This is just in the S&P 500. It would have taken you 20 years till you got that first $100,000 in 1967. But in 1965, you would add $93,000, and then 10 years later, you would have added $6,000. So you would have put that $50 a month, that's $6,000. You would have put in $99. It would have been worth $98 10 years later. What would you have done in 1974? Would you have the discipline to keep putting your money to work? Or even in the early 1970s, would you have kept putting your money to work? That's what Ronald Reed was able to do. And then 45 years of investing. That $1,000 plus $50 a month, $600 a year, ends up being worth $1 million in 1989. What do you do then when you get to that million? Do you take chips off the table? Do you think, well, it's been a good ride, but I don't know what I should do going forward? We've got trouble in the Middle East. There was a recession, I think, right after Reagan left office and Bush was president, so there was a lot of economic turmoil. Well, maybe I sit things out. Well, Ronald Reed sticks with his investment strategy. And then 10 years after that, his $1 million is now worth $5 million. So he's made $4 million in 10 years. It took him 45 years to get to $1 million. Going forward, .com crashes. What do you do here? I mean, there's no right, he doesn't know now. He's probably feeling great. He's just turned $1 million to $5 million. He's put his money to work over a decade, and he's made more money than it, quadruple the amount of money it took him in 45 years to accumulate. So in 1999, he keeps his money working, as most people were really feeling good at that time. And 3 years later, he's lost $2 million. It took him 45 years to get to $1 million, and it took him 3 years to lose $2 million. So what do you do at that point? What are your emotions telling you? Most people are thinking, I can't take it. Now, one thing is his lifestyle was such that this is the most unique part, is most people with this kind of money in the bank aren't living the type of lifestyle this retired gas station worker and janitor lived. So it didn't matter he lost $2 million, but he sticks with it. And then by the end of 2007, he's back above where he ever was. He's got $6 million in the bank. And at the end of 2008, he loses another $2.2 million. So $2.2 million he can lose in 1 year. Going back, it took him 45 years to accumulate just $1 million. And then by the time he passes away, that 3.8 of the last 7 years has grown to $10 million. Now, he only left 6. So I don't know what he actually did. I didn't have access to this gentleman's portfolios, of course. But who would have been the loser had he not done this, or he had not had the 10 million, or he had sold back here? It wasn't him, because his lifestyle didn't matter. This guy was living the lifestyle of a homeless person. All basically, people would go up and offer to buy him lunch when he sat at breakfast. So he wasn't going to miss out if this money wasn't there. The local hospital and the local library were ultimately who would have missed out. So this is by investing in the largest 500 companies in the United States. Now, if you start to diversify further, you can get a higher expected return, and these risks start to shrink. There's still the up and down in the short term, but you don't have to go quite as long, and that's, gets more into the weeds. But what if back in 1945, Mr. Reed said, I'm going to buy the best company I know, and I love my Chevrolet automobile, and I'm going to invest all my money in GM. Well, what would he have today? And the answer, he would have passed away and wouldn't have a penny to his name. I mean, so that's, of course I'm cherry picking. Maybe you would have picked the best company, but it's just unnecessary. Nobody would be unhappy with the result of $1,000 being worth $10 million in that period of investing life. Nobody would be unhappy with that. So why take any extra risk? Because I expect that to be the result going forward, as long as the United States, as long as the world is still functioning, which, as for the foreseeable future, we certainly see it still being a functioning universe. So this is the kind of discipline it takes. You can do this yourself starting right now. Now, of course, if you're 70 years old or you're retiring next year, you don't put all your money in the S&P 500, because if you're 70 and you're going to be taking money out and this is the next period, well, that's going to hurt. But that's why you still have some of your money working for you, because you're taking it for the rest of your life. And then the other part's in fixed income, where you're trying to get a higher return than cash. So I hope this to me is just such a great story about what it takes. It takes being able to have the pain to get the pleasure of this $10 million at the end of the day. And you won't get this if you can't take all this pain, all this risk. Call us if you have any questions. Have a great week. 770-984-2312.